I love Justin Fields. I love him. And I think you made the right. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers made the right decision giving up a 6th-round draft pick for him. I think he's the future quarterback of this Pittsburgh Steelers team. I think he wins the job from Russell Wilson before the season even starts.
Before the season. That's
Yes.
an interesting take.
Yes.
I would personally disagree.
Mhm.
And the reason why I would disagree with that is that the Steelers are incentivized to at least give Russell a shot to start the season, because if you play Justin from the word go, that 6th-round pick immediately turns into a 4th-round pick, because if he plays over 50% of the snaps, that turns into a 4th-round pick. All right. So that doesn't mean that they won't do that, especially if he outperforms them in camp, whatever. But I think that Russell Wilson's going to get a shot to perform in this offense. And I think that what Arthur Smith wants to do really accentuates what Russell Wilson does well. Play action passing has been the bread and butter of his career. That's what made him so effective in Seattle with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, throwing the ball deep to them off of play action. And that's exactly what Arthur Smith wants to do with George Pickens as the X receiver here in Pittsburgh. So he doesn't really turn the ball over. He's got a great deep ball. He's going to be asked to just kind of be a play action deep ball passer. And I think that's something he can absolutely do. And then also kind of the third thing that they're looking for is somebody with playoff experience, somebody that's been on that big stage, isn't going to crumble. So even though I think it's possible Justin Fields is the potential long-term option, Russell Wilson is going to have to play, I think, pretty poorly in order for Justin Fields to kind of usurp him. And I think Russ is going to get at least a shot to start the season.
I hope not. I mean, for every single team he's ever played for, how many players have come out and thrown Russell Wilson under the bus? In Seattle, Marshawn Lynch came out. We've heard Richard Sherman come out. Everybody, and now I'm hearing some stories that Pete Carroll going to be making a book. I can't wait until that book comes out, because I can't wait to hear what he has to say about Russell Wilson on what was going on in that locker room. And then the whole thing that was going on with Denver, give me a break. Listen, I think it was a great move by them, bringing in a guy that was only worth, 1.3, 1.2 million. I think it's a steal, but I think Justin Fields deserves an opportunity. I think he's going to outwork him. I think Justin Fields, I really thought Chicago should not have given up on him. I think he's the perfect fit, and he has the perfect repertoire to be a good quarterback in this league. Look at Lamar Jackson. He's a bigger, stronger, and I believe all around better Lamar Jackson. And I think that the guy didn't get the chance in Chicago. They didn't give him enough weapons. And last year when they did have weapons, they couldn't stay healthy. So that was the problem. And I believe that a guy like Justin Fields over here with your team, the Steelers, they have a great defense. I think they're built very, very well. They have a great coach, a player's coach. And I think it's all going to fall together for Justin Fields. I think he wins the job before the season starts. I think the team will fall in with Justin Fields. Look at what DJ Moore said about Justin Fields. He didn't want him to go. How many players came out and tried to speak up for Justin Fields? He's our guy. We want him to be our guy. And they gave up on him. I thought Chicago made a big mistake. I'm not saying Caleb Williams isn't going to be great, but Justin Fields deserved an opportunity, a full season with weapons all around him. Now with George Pickens, I love George Pickens. I followed him when he was in Georgia. I thought he should have been a first-round draft pick because of the knee injury. He fell to the second round. This guy had 1,200 yards with that crap of a quarterback play last year. This guy's going to put up 1,500 yards. This guy's going to be the number one target. No more Deontay Johnson. The guy stinks. He's been on my football. He's been on my draft team. I drafted him 2 years in a row, and the guy can't stay healthy. Thank God he's gone. But I think the Steelers, they have some weapons. I think they can run the ball. They have two great running backs, and I think they're going to put up the numbers this year with the defense that they have. Get Justin Fields in the game. Give up on that Russell Wilson kind of thought, okay? You're a guy. You're a Pittsburgh guy. Let's go with Justin Fields. Let's chant Justin Fields, baby. I love it.
Listen, man, I wouldn't be opposed for Justin to play, especially if Russell has a bad stretch of 3 or 4 games. The team's not winning. He's not getting the ball in the end zone. All these different things. All right. But what I'll say about Justin Fields and the reason why they're bringing him in, I actually don't think that their plan A is to have Justin Fields as the long-term starting quarterback. And that might be surprising to hear because he is still very young. He has all these amazing physical attributes. He's the best rushing quarterback in the National Football League, in my opinion. But Russell Wilson is 35 years old. All right, Kirk Cousins is 35 years old. He just signed a brand new massive 4-year contract. All right, so Russell Wilson, if he plays well, he can absolutely carve out what, 4, maybe 5 more years, especially with the way he takes care of his body. So listen, man, I think that the plan A for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the way they see it right now is that if Russell Wilson has success, he has a good season, the team gets to 12, 13 wins, and they compete not only for the division, but then they compete in the playoffs, brings home a playoff win. I think it's going to be really tough to replace him at that point in the season, and it's going to be hard to replace him moving forward because it's like if Fields sits the bench and maybe comes in for a couple package plays during the season, but Russ is the guy that got them to 12, 13 wins and a playoff win, then I think it's going to be really tough to move off Russell Wilson and go with Justin Fields and go with the unproven entity. Now, with that being said, Mike Tomlin loves Justin Fields. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this, and Fields gets his shot and he gets it early, maybe even week 1, like you're proposing. But at the end of the day, man, I think they got Russell Wilson first for a reason. And I think when they saw, hey, we can get Justin Fields for a 6th-round pick as our backup quarterback option, they jumped at the chance because that's better than a Ryan Tannehill or whatever option they would have got in NFL free agency. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm kind of on the Russ train until he kind of proves me otherwise. But I'm certainly open to Justin Fields coming up and improving himself if Russell doesn't end up being the guy.
I want to see Justin Fields. I think he's the more talented quarterback. Russell Wilson has been a part of organizations that have had good defenses everywhere he's gone. Even with the Broncos, that defense fell apart when Russ was there, maybe because Russ didn't get along with anybody in the locker room. And what's going to happen when Russell Wilson opens his big fat mouth over there in Pittsburgh and pisses people off in that locker room? Because there are mighty big personalities in that locker room, and they're not going to sit still as we saw Seattle do it, because Pete Carroll was like, you don't talk to Russ like that. And then the Broncos, we all know that, a coach over there didn't really like him. He just inherited him last year and said, you know what? You're not having your own office. I am taking that office. It's my office. So, and you guys, everybody knows who I'm talking about.
The Roonies wouldn't even think to construct anything like that. So the Steelers will be fine.
Sean Payton is a guy that never wanted Russell Wilson. I don't think anybody on that team liked Russell Wilson. Jerry Jeudy came out after he was traded to the Browns recently and said a couple of interesting things about Russell Wilson. If you have all these guys, Mr. Jack Sperry, coming out and saying these things about Russell Wilson, what will change if he goes to Pittsburgh and succeeds over there? I don't think Russell Wilson has an IQ, an unbelievable NFL IQ. Problem with him is he thinks he's bigger than the team. He's always thought that, and that's his problem.
Well, what I'd say about that is, there's guys that maybe, Russ rubbed them the wrong way. And he's definitely not for everybody. But for every Marshawn Lynch or Richard Sherman, there's also a Brandon Marshall. There's also a DK Metcalf. There's also a Cortland Sutton, all of which have completely stood up for Russ. And they have said that he's a great teammate. He's a great leader. And he's not going to be somebody that's going to necessarily, rub everybody the right way, like I said. But I do think that he is somebody that, he's going to go in there. Of course, he's going to be a big personality. But if the team is winning, I really don't think it's going to matter that much. And really, when I'm looking at it from a football perspective, I think it's a really good fit. I think it will actually end up working out here. And if it doesn't, you can just put in Justin Fields and you can see where that goes moving forward. But I'm really excited to see what Russ looks like in the black and gold next year. I think it's going to be relatively successful. If you got the 10 wins with Kenny Pickett, Mitchell Trubisky, and then Mason Rudolph, I think that with this defense, with the weapons that they're going to have, with the run game that they're going to have, with the improved offensive architecture that they're going to have, I think they're going to get up to 10, 11, 12 wins, maybe even up to 13 is probably like a max out kind of point. But I'm very optimistic about Russ moving forward. And if it doesn't work out, you got a great plan B option in Justin Fields.
If
That's
they
kind of the
win
way I see it.
13 games, Mr. Jack Sperry, I will take you on the field to a Pittsburgh Steeler game where you can hang out with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay. If they win 13 games, you got it. I will take you. I will have field leveled seats where after the game we can go hang out with the Pittsburgh Steelers.